Okay, back to Shavuot that we were learning the other days. So first of all, just to catch up on some things. First of all, both nights of Shavuot, outside of Eretz Yisrael, whether we keep both days we say Shechianu. Both by candle lighting, by Kiddush, we always say Shechianu. Some people have a custom that they adorn the houses and the shuls with trees and greeneries in honor of the Yom Tov of Shavuot. The reason for that is brought down. Why do people put trees in the shul for Shavuot? Because the Gemara says on Rosh Hashanah and Shavuot we're judged for the fruits of the tree. That's when we're judged how well the fruits of the tree are going to be. So if you have trees in front of you, so then you're going to remind yourself to daven to Hashem that the fruit should be good. Nowadays the custom is we don't put trees in the shul because number one, that's what the non-Jewish people do in their churches and stuff. And also there's something called an Asherah tree, which is, there's a din it's a pasuk in Chumash that you're not allowed to put a tree next to the Beis HaMikdash because that's what the Goyim used to do. And because the shul is a miniature Beis HaMikdash, so we don't put trees in the shul. But other people do decorate the shul with greenery. Why do we decorate the house in the shul with greenery? We don't. Chabad, we generally don't. But why do people do it? Because when Hashem gave the Torah in Har Sinai, even though it was a desert, but nevertheless Hashem miraculously made a whole garden grow around Har Sinai that it should look very beautiful when Hashem gave us the Torah. So because of that, people decorate the shuls with greenery, with flowers, with a lot of things. Most shuls do it. Again, in Chabad, we don't do it. That's number one. And so we make Shechianu both nights by Kiddush and by candle lighting, where people have a custom to decorate the shul. Now, as far as, again, with the custom of eating dairy, how to kasher the ovens, all that we discussed already. So what else is there? And the Yom Tov of Shavuos. So Shavuos is also a mitzvah to enjoy the Yom Tov of Shavuos. Why? Because we got the Torah. So we want to celebrate the fact physically that we got the Torah, and not to be, we have it, and to be depressed over the fact that we have to do all these mitzvahs. On the contrary, where it says, at least you have to have the concept of lachem, that you need to participate and have a lot of good things. Now, so the davening is, in fact, there's another interesting custom. Sfardim don't do it, and officially Chabad doesn't do it either. And that's the custom of saying Akdamos. There is a prayer mentioned hundreds and hundreds of years ago. It's called Akdamos. Akdamos is an Aramaic poem, a very beautiful poem, by the way. It's in Aramaic. It's in the Siddurim. That speaks basically about if all the trees would be, if all the blades of grass would be pens, and all the drops of water in the ocean would be ink, and all the skies would be parchment, we would never be able to write the greatness of Hashem and how great the Torah is and how great it is. It's like a 3-page poem. So in Chabad, they don't do it. The question why they don't do it, some people say because the people wanted to daven longer, they didn't want to waste time listening to Akdamis. It's not mentioned in the Talmud, in the Gemara or not. So, but many people have a custom of doing it. Also, you have the Aseres Dibris on the first day of Kriyas Torah. Okay, another interesting thing about the day of the first day of Shavuos, and that is, you're not allowed to prepare anything from the first day of Yom Tov for the second day of Yom Tov. In other words, like this, we know in Eretz Yisrael, there's one day Yom Tov. Because biblically, the Yom Tov is one day. But because of the calendar, we didn't know before the calendars, how did they know when the new month came? The witnesses would come to the court, to Bais Din. Bais Din checked out the witnesses, validated them. Bais Din, okay, today's Rosh Chodesh. So how did people throughout everywhere know? They didn't have texts, cell phones, emails. How did people know that Bais Din proclaimed a certain day Rosh Chodesh? Because you have to understand, Sukkot is on the 15th of Tishrei, Pesach is on the 15th of Nisan, Yom Kippur. How did people find out when Rosh Chodesh? There were no calendars in those days. So initially, the Gemara says, what they used to do is, they used to light torches on top of a big mountain, close to Yerushalayim, and the next mountain, they would be looking out for it. The next mountain saw that torch lit, so they would light on the next mountain, next mountain, next mountain. So very soon, the whole Eretz Yisrael saw the torches on the mountain, so they knew that that day Bais Din proclaimed Rosh Chodesh. What was the problem with that? The problem with that was the troublemakers would light fires on the wrong night, just to make trouble. So therefore, Bais Din abolished that system. It didn't work anymore because the people were still mixed up. So what did they do? They sent out shluchim. They sent out messengers. Bais Din sent out messengers all over Eretz Yisrael, the place where people lived, where Jews lived, and they were able to find out by the 15th of the month when the initial Rosh Chodesh was, so they were able to know when Pesach was, when Sukkot was, and so on. Outside of Eretz Yisrael, people didn't know exactly, because the messengers didn't get there. So because we said already before that the lunar calendar can have 29 and a half days. So it could be, you can't make Rosh Chodesh a middle day. So some months could have 29, sometimes months 30. Depends. So our calendar is set up in a particular, but those days they didn't know whenever the witnesses came. So because it was a choice of 1 or 2 days, so people outside of Eretz Yisrael that didn't get the messengers on time, they would keep 2 days Yom Tov, because they didn't know what day was Rosh Chodesh, and the messengers didn't get there on time. So therefore they kept 2 days Yom Tov. But the second day Yom Tov is rabbinic, because biblically the Torah says Sukkot, the first day is Sukkot, one day Shmini Atzeres, one day, the Torah says it's 1 day Yom Tov, not 2. That's why in Israel today they keep 1 day Yom Tov. We keep 2 days. Why do we keep 2 days? Tradition. Even now we have calendars, we know exactly when Rosh Chodesh is. But as Gemara uses the expression, Minig Aviseinu B'Yadeinu, it's tradition, and tradition is very, very strong and powerful. And therefore, outside of Eretz Yisrael, we keep now 2 days. Okay? But the first day is biblical, and the second day is rabbinic. So biblical is holier than rabbinic. Therefore, halachically, you can't do any preparation on the first day for the second day. Because then you're preparing on a biblical Yom Tov for a day that's not really biblical Yom Tov. So all the preparations from the first day, this year Shavuot is Monday, right? So Monday, you could do things that you need to do Monday. You could cook for Monday or whatever. But you can't cook or prepare Monday for Monday night. So you can't even wash the dishes, you can't set the table, you can't cook, you can't do anything. Because again, then you're desecrating the first day Yom Tov for a day which is not biblically valid. Yeah?
For Yom Tov Pesach, which is in the middle of the month, wouldn't they have already gotten the messengers by then? So
the messengers only in Israel. Yeah, that's why by then they knew.
Outside of Israel, they still not gotten the messengers?
Outside of Israel, they did not get the messengers. Either the messengers didn't go in all those places because there were not the heavy population of Jews, and it took them longer than 2 days to get there. The reason why, biblically, Rosh Hashanah is 1 day. But if you know, in Israel today, they keep 2 days Rosh Hashanah. Even in Israel, they keep 2 days Rosh Hashanah, because even though biblically it's 1 day. Because Rosh Hashanah, that was the first day of the month. The messengers couldn't go out on Yom Tov. So even the people in Israel didn't know which day was the real day. So they would keep both days out of a doubt. Even many, many years already. Israel keeps 2 days Rosh Hashanah. Even though biblically it's 1 day. Because Rosh Chodesh, the second Bais Din, the courts would proclaim first day of the month, that would be Rosh Hashanah. The messengers can't go out. And where are they going to get to already? So they couldn't go out on horseback. So therefore, even in Israel, they keep 2 days. But the question really is an interesting question about Shavuos. Shavuos, we really should keep 1 day. Why? I just mentioned to the guys before. By the way, I want to welcome this very special group from Northern California, boys and girls who came to visit us in Southern California, all the way from Northern California. It's a pleasure to have you guys come again. Now, but Shavuos, there's no date in the Torah when Shavuos is. There is no, every festival has a day of the month when the holiday is, but not Shavuos. If you look in Chumash, the Torah says, start counting on the second day of Pesach, Mimachas Shabbos, count 49 days. The 50th day is Pesach, is Shavuos. We don't know which day it is. In the time of the calendar, Shavuos could have been the 5th of Sivan, the 6th of Sivan, or the 7th of Sivan. Because depending how the months were, based on the testimony. But by then, everybody would know when Rosh Chodesh Nisan was. So by knowing Pesach, you automatically know when Shavuos is. You didn't need any testimony of witnesses to say when Yom Tov is. You count 49 days, and the 50th day is Shavuos. So why do we keep 2 days Shavuos outside of Israel? It's very interesting. The reason is not to differentiate between the holidays. Not that the rabbi said, the other days of second day Yom Tov is a doubt. We don't know originally, years ago, which was the real day. But now Shavuos we really know. Why do we keep second day Shavuos? Not to differentiate between one day and the next. And the Chassam Sefer, interesting, says, so what's unique about the second day Shavuos, it's not kept as a doubt, it's kept as a definite. It's a definitive holiday that the Chachamim established, not because of a doubt. There's no doubt. Even in the time of the Bais Din, there was no doubt. So it's very interesting the way this holiday. So therefore, bottom line is you can't do any preparation from the first day to the second day. So everything that you have to wait until nightfall and then be able to do it. From the other Yom Tov, now we keep 2 days, and now Shavuos is 1 day.
But they only keep Rosh Hashanah 2 days in Israel.
No, in Israel they keep 1 day Shavuos. I'm saying outside of Israel, there's no reason for us to keep 2 days Yom Tov. Because we know exactly when Shavuos is, 50 days after Pesach. But the reason is because not to yeah.
From Yom Chol, I can make preparation for Yom Tov. From Yom Chol, I can make preparation for Yom Tov.
Yeah, for Chol you can do preparation for
Yom
Yom
Tov,
not from Yom Tov to Yom Tov, not from Shabbat to Yom Tov, right. Because each one has its own unique kedusha. You can't take away or do things that are not appropriate for that particular day. First day is biblical, second day is rabbinic. You can't do work on the first biblical day for the second one. Because when Bais Din proclaimed, the witnesses came. Huh? That day became Rosh Chodesh. Now how's anybody supposed to know when Rosh Hashanah is? They couldn't go out on horseback on Yom Tov.
So
Even back then, the people, not biblically, they kept 2 days because they had no choice. They didn't know. That was the big issue in those days, when to keep, so they, even Rosh Hashanah. And the Gemara says even more. Who's asking? One second. The Gemara says even more. Even in the Bais Hamikdash, sometimes they kept 2 days Rosh Hashanah. In the Bais Hamikdash, they kept 2 days Rosh Hashanah. Why? The Gemara tells a story. It came in the morning. Vaad Din is waiting for the witnesses to come. They're waiting, it's possible the witnesses come. So they would wait, because don't forget, if it wasn't Rosh Hashanah, there were the daily sacrifices. If it was Rosh Hashanah, it was Rosh Hashanah sacrifices. It's different, right? So they would wait. One time the Gemara says, they were so late that the rabbi said, okay, they're not coming. So we're going to, we're weekday. After they did all the weekday stuff, the witnesses popped in. And which meant that retroactively, that day was Rosh Hashanah. But they already did all the weekday korbanos already. Did all the weekday sacrifices. So what did the Chachamim establish? If they come after a certain time, we don't accept them for that day. The rest of the day remains holy, but the next day is the real day of Yom Tov. Because of this. Yes, sir.
In Israel, Rosh Hashanah is 2 days. Wouldn't that mean that it's better than all the other holidays in Israel? That's 1 day?
Well, it's the only holiday in Israel that they keep 2 days, yeah.
So
Is it better or worse? It's holier.
But on Shavuot, we keep 2 days instead of 1 because...
But in Israel, they keep 1 day.
What?
In Israel, they keep 1 day.
Yeah, but...
Here, we keep 2 days.
Because so it won't be like...
Different.
less- Yeah, so on Rosh Hashanah, it's different.
No, Israel, because they always keep 1 day. So Rosh Hashanah, they have to keep 2 because they don't know exactly when it is.